In this video, we're going to talk about a 6-step marketing plan to help you attract and enroll more students at your dance studio. So with that said, let's dive right in. These are 6 steps to help you attract more students. So the first step in the marketing plan is to get the word out there. So the first thing that you need to do is your studio, you need to advertise in your town to help you get the word out there and get people to know that you exist. Right? So that is the very first thing that you need to know. A lot of people, the reason why they're not attracting more students is because nobody knows that you exist. How many times have people gone into your studio and told you like, oh my God, I didn't know you guys were around here. I've been living in this town for so many years, or I've been driving by the same street for so many years, and I didn't realize that you guys were here. That's the very first step. Is just simply getting attention, getting known, like spreading the word out there, getting people to know that you exist. Okay, from there, the second step, so we don't just stop there. A lot of studio owners think like, oh, I just got to get the word out there and people will come in and they just will enroll. That's not true. The second step that you need to do is you need to get people. So those people that when you advertise, those people need to then give you their information, right? They need to give you their name, their phone number, their email so that you can get in contact with them. This is what we call a lead, right? Anybody who gives you their name, phone number, and email and expresses interest in your dance classes. And so that right there, so it's not just enough to get the word out there. You need to get those people to hand you over their information, and we'll talk about how to do that. But essentially, you need to have a way that people can give you their information. That's the second step in the marketing plan. The third step is that you need to get in contact with these leads, right? So it's not enough to get people to give you their information. You need to get in touch with them, and you need to do that through text messaging, through phone calls, through emails. You need to somehow get in touch. So once they've handed you their information, then you, as the studio, you need to get in touch with them. And then from there, takes me to step number 4 in the marketing plan. The next thing is that you need to book these people for a trial. Now, for a lot of you, I know for some studio owners, they don't do trial classes. Now, for this example, if that is you, if you are not doing trial classes, stick with me here. I'll show you how to do it if you're not doing trials. But in any case, if you're not opposed to doing trials, and I have seen them work, we've used trials to help studio owners grow from 100 students to 1,000 students. They definitely work. If you, however, are not doing trials, again, I'll show you here in a second. But if you are, the next step is you need to book them for that trial class, right? So once you get in touch with them, once they give you their information, so let's just recap a second. You're gonna advertise, get the word out there. You're gonna get people inquiring, handing you their information. You're gonna get in touch with them, and you're gonna ask them to book a trial class with you, so that people aren't gonna magically appear and show up at your studio. You need to let them know what they need to do. You call them, you text them, you email them, you let them know, hey, do you want to come in and check us out? If they say yes, okay, that's the next step. Once you do that, the 5th step is you got to remind them on the day of their trial, and even before the trial. This is what we do here for the studio owners that we work with. The day before the trial, the morning of the trial, 1 hour before the trial, you want to send them reminders, notifications to get people to show up to your studio. People get busy. People are forgetful. They have a lot of things going on. Whether if you have a dance studio that teaches children, parents get busy. They have a million things to do with their kids. They have a life. They have their family to take care of. You need to remind them, right? This is why it's so important. And on the other hand, if you own a dance studio for adults, adults work. They're also super busy. This is why you need those reminders to get people to show up for that trial class. And then once you do that, the last step in the process is enrollment, right? So once people show up to your studio, if you've reminded them, they get to show up at the studio. The last step is you need to get them to give you their information. So you need to have an enrollment process in place to help you enroll those students once they show up. Now, what do I mean by enrollment process in place? So, because a lot of studio owners, when I tell them this, like, you need to have an enrollment process, they're like, oh, my enrollment is great. When people come in, they sign up. Yeah, did they sign up because they're already motivated, or did they sign up because you have a great enrollment process? And by a great enrollment process, do you have a script in place with what to say to new parents to get them to enroll? Do you know exactly what questions to ask them? This is, again, if you own a dance studio for kids, but if you own a dance studio for adults, it's the same thing. Do you have a script to talk to them, to tell them about your program, tell them why you're different, ask them ask them the right questions so you find out why they're interested in dance classes, why did they want to enroll, what are they looking for. If you have a dance studio for kids, what do their kids want? Why do they want dance classes, so that you know what to offer to them, and how to present best your dance classes so they're more likely to enroll, even how to get them to enroll in multiple classes. If you find out that a parent is like, she really loves dancing, and this is, she's been telling me about this for a really long time, then maybe you want to tell her to enroll in 2 or 3 classes a week as opposed to just 1. You see what I'm saying? Or if an adult comes to your studio and they're like, hey, I've been wanting to dance for the longest time, I don't have the time, I just want to learn really quickly, maybe you offer them private lessons instead of group classes. Or if they say, I want to make friends, I don't care so much about learning, but I just want to do some exercise and make friends, then you tell them about, coming 3 times a week and meeting everybody and going out to the parties at your studio. And on top of that, doing it 3 times a week is a better way to get some exercise in, right? So this is where having an enrollment process in place with all of the, having like a sales strategy, if you will, that matters a lot, instead of just winging it. A lot of studio owners, they just wing it, or they have a salesperson or they have a front desk person who's kind of just winging it on their own. They've never been trained in sales. That's not good. You want to train your people in sales, or you yourself want to be trained in sales so that you know exactly what to do, and you want to have a script in place with the questions to ask, with what to say to new people, how to present your offer, like how to explain to people why you're different and why they should enroll with you and why they should take the classes that you're saying and all that stuff. You should have a script for that. And then last is that you want to have a follow-up process in place for anybody who doesn't sign up. So if anybody comes into your studio and they don't end up paying, they don't end up signing up, you want to have a follow-up process in place for all of those people who showed up but didn't end up enrolling, so that you can follow up with them. Maybe it's the evening that they came in, you send them, you try calling them and you send them a text, and then you want to have the next day, again, you call and you text, and you want to script these things out so that you know exactly what to say, so that when you get on the phone with them, you know what to say to get them to enroll. And you want to write these things out. If you have somebody at your studio who's doing these calls, the follow-up calls, then you want them to know exactly what to say. You want to make a script, so that way, if that person ever leaves your studio, you could just say to the new person that you hire, here's the script, here's how you call them, here's what to say, here's the questions to ask, and so on. So that way, you're not the person who's stuck doing the sales forever, and then you can easily delegate this to somebody else. And you want a phone call and text. All right, so what does it take to let's dive even deeper into this. So for the first 2 steps in the marketing plan, where you're getting the word out there and you're getting people to inquire, by giving you their contact information, the way to do that's marketing. So you need to advertise on Facebook and Instagram. This is something that we help the studio owners that we're working with do, is we help you set up Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns to help you attract people near your studio who might be interested in joining your dance classes, and then get them to give us their contact information. You, on top of that, need Google reviews. Google reviews help you. So when people look for dance studios near me, if they search for that, your studio needs to be showing up high up in the search results. In order to do that, you need a lot of Google reviews. And so Super important there. If you don't have Google reviews, definitely focus on it. Ask your current students to leave you Google reviews. That'll help you rank up higher in the search results above your competitors. Super, super, super important. And last is you want to have a website where you're like, let me show you here one of the websites from one of the studio owners. You want to have a place where people, you see here where it says new students start here. People click on that and they give us their name, phone number, and email. This is how we are collecting their information. Is we're sending them to a page where we're collecting, again, name, phone number, and email. And we want to make it simple, easy for people to do that. A lot of people, they don't like clicking around. Some people put that form at the bottom of their website, like, hey, contact us, or like find out more information. And they put that form at the bottom. You want to bring that to the top so that people, a lot of people, they don't even like searching around. They don't like reading. And so you want to make it as easy as possible for them to give you their information. The easier you make it, the better the results you have. The more you hide that form, the less people are going to inquire. Super simple. Okay, so that's it. And then the next is like, how do you follow up with people? So follow-up process. Having a follow-up process matters a lot. If you're just sort of winging it, calling people whenever they call you, and then you kind of are doing this on your personal phone, or you don't have a follow-up process where you're keeping track of the leads, all of that matters. Okay, follow-up speed matters a lot. So if you get somebody inquiring and you take a day, a week to respond back to them, they're gonna move on. You're not gonna get in touch with them. And so you need to have a way where you're contacting the leads. In fact, what we have found is that you gotta follow up with every single lead that you get within 1 minute of them inquiring. And unfortunately, that's what it takes in today's world to get a hold of people and to get them while they're still interested, getting them while they're still thinking about dance classes, getting them while they haven't gotten a chance to go check out your competitors. You want to follow up with people quickly, okay? And you don't have that much, the time window to get a hold of people and to tell them about your free trial classes or whatever it might be. If you're doing free trials, which brings me to the other point, you want to get back to them extremely quickly. If you're not doing free trials, so if you're skipping from step number 3 to step number to the last step, or they enroll, you still want to follow up with people quickly. One of the things that we have found is that you got to use text messages. Text messages, even if you're calling them, calling still works. It's not as effective as it used to be because a lot of the younger demographics, they don't like to get on the phone, but it still works. Texting is the number one form of communication in today's world. That doesn't mean you shouldn't call people or you shouldn't email them. You should still do those things, but at least like use text. And you want to be consistent with your follow-up. So like if somebody doesn't respond to you right away, if somebody takes if you text somebody, or if you text and you call them and they don't pick up, that doesn't mean that they're not interested. That means that they probably are busy and they have other things going on. You want to keep following up with them. For us, for the studio owners that we're working with, we follow up with every single lead that the studio owners that we're helping that they get. We're following up with those leads for 4 days, right? So once a day for 4 days with a text message just saying something along the lines of like, hey, I want to make sure to help you. Don't want you to fall through the cracks. Are you still interested in trying a class or something like that? Or hey, are you still interested in dance? Things like that if you're not offering trials. But you want to have consistent follow-up. And that might sound aggressive. That might sound like, you're harassing people. But look at it this way. If you don't follow up with people, you're going to lose them. If you follow up too much with people, you're going to lose them. The question is, how many people are you going to lose if you follow up with them too much? And how many people are you going to lose if you don't follow up at all? I promise you, if you don't follow up, you're going to lose way more people than if you followed up too much. And besides, anybody who gets upset with you for following up with them is probably not going to be a good client, a good student, a good customer in the first place. So I wouldn't pay any attention to the people who get upset because of your follow-up. just ignore those people, take them out of your list, don't follow up with them again, and just don't worry about it. It's just normal. Some people are crazy. Some people are going to complain. It's just the nature of doing business. Ignore those people. You got to follow up consistently. I promise you it'll have a much better impact on your studio than if you didn't follow up. You're going to enroll way more students. Okay. Just another point on that. I recently spoke to the LA Fitness. This is a gym where I go to here in South Florida. I spoke to one of the GMs, the general managers in there, who's a friend of mine, and I spoke to him and I asked him how many phone calls does he do each day to follow up with the leads. And he tells me every day he's following up. He's making 50 to 70 phone calls at his gym, 50 to 60. The other day he told me 70 at his gym to follow up with those leads. Think about it. That's every day. And that's every salesperson at LA Fitness is doing that. That's how much you have to follow up if you want to be successful, right? I also walked into an Orange Theory the other day. This is another gym who does group fitness classes. They do kind of that group cardio and things like that. I spoke to the front desk, and I always question because I'm always curious to see what makes businesses successful. She told me that every day, as soon as she gets in, she has to follow up. She needs to make 40 phone calls, and they track these, and they're making sure that her manager is making sure that she's making those phone calls. Super, super important. Okay, and then from there, you need to have automation. So use an automated system to follow up with all those leads, because it's impossible to send so many text messages and stay following up with everybody manually, and do that in a timely manner. So you want to use automation, some of the automated systems that you can use. So number one, obviously Studio Hub, which is our platform. If you want to check it out, if you want us to give you a demo about it, go to getmorestudents.com and go here to schedule a call where it says let's chat. You can also see the success stories from some of the studio owners that we're working with. And so you can watch these videos right here so you can see, what kind of results they've gotten. You can also there's another software called Keep. Google this, I think it's keep.com. Another one is Active Campaign. Another software is called Podium. Another one is called Text Magic. So all of these could work. With Studio Hub, we help you set up all these automations. We do that for you. Again, if you're curious, go check it out. But yes, you need automation. Book a demo if you want to do that. You need it because that's how you're going to be able to get in touch with people. Studio Hub allows you to follow up with people as soon as they inquire. Within 1 minute to text them. You're going to be able to book them in there so that they automatically start receiving those reminders the day before, the morning of, 1 hour before their trial, so that people show up. If you're not doing trials, it's going to allow you to text them. And I have a lot of studio owners that I'm working with that are not doing trials, who are just selling people through text message. Is the craziest thing. And they sell like $500 packages over text messages, and people sign up all the time like that for them. And they're skipping the trial. And then you can have automated follow-up. So if somebody doesn't sign up, you can keep following up with them automatically. That's why automation is so important. So if you're not using automation at your studio, definitely jump on it. And go find one of these softwares, or if you want to talk to us, more than happy to chat with you about Studio Hub. Okay, the last one is the enrollment process, which obviously, like I already mentioned, you need to use a script. You need to train your team in sales. You need to have an offer, an incentive for people to sign up on the day of their trial. And this is a hack right here. This is a super important thing, a huge tip. A lot of studio owners don't do this. So when people come in to your studio, if you don't give them a reason to sign up that day, then they're not incentivized to sign up that day. It's super simple. Obviously, it's pretty straightforward. I'm not saying anything here that is not common sense, but a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people don't make any offers. And so it's helpful. And it does, if you have an offer, it'll incentivize people to sign up on the day of their trial. That's something, especially if you have a team who's not very good at sales, just having an offer is going to help you enroll more students. Okay. You need to hire a salesperson. One of the biggest mistakes that I see studio owners make with their front desk person is that they have a person who's passive, who just sits there, waits for people to approach them instead of having a salesperson who's going to go after the sale, who's more assertive. If you're relying on a passive person to make the enrollments, who's just waiting to take the orders from people, I've worked with so many studio owners who their front desk person, instead of asking at the end of the trial class, is like, hey, do you want to enroll? They just sit there kind of waiting for people to come up to them and ask them how they, what is the next step. And if you have somebody like that, I promise you're losing sales. So you want to hire a salesperson who's ideally money motivated, who wants to make more money. And ideally, you're rewarding them with some sort of commission structure. So that way, the more they help you enroll students, the more money they make. That way, they're more likely to want to help you enroll more students, help you follow up with all the leads, and so on. So super, super important there. So those are all tips that I have for you. That is a 6-step marketing plan. Let's redo it. Let's recap it again one more time really quickly. First thing is get attention, get known, let people know that you exist, get the word out there. Second thing is get their information. Third thing is contact them through phone calls, through text messaging, super important. Text is the one that we've seen work the best. Emails, get in contact with them, book them for a trial, and then send them reminders the day before the trial, the morning of the trial, 1 hour before the trial. Keep following up with them if they don't reply back. Don't give up too easily. Like if people are like, oh, I've spoken to so many studio owners who are like, oh, they didn't answer my second message, so I never messaged them again because they moved on. That's not true. People get busy. Follow up. And then last, have a script, have a sales process, hire a salesperson to help you with the sales. And you're going to see if you put this plan in place, your studio, you're just going to take off. Okay. If you want to work with us, go to getmorestudents.com. Check out our success stories right here. Book a call if you want to see a demo of Studio Hub and everything else that we have to offer. If you found this video helpful and you want to learn more tips and things about helping you grow your studio, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Hervin Alvarez, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.